Hi there, I'm Kitty Durham, head gardener here at the Shaker Village at Pleasant Hill, and behind me is our certified organic garden. We grow about 10,000 pounds of vegetables annually here for our Trustees Table restaurant, and your garden might not be this big, but the things that we do here can be implemented on any scale. So follow me today and I'm going to teach you some tips and tricks for your own garden. So some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today is weed and insect management as well as our soil health. So one of the most important things that we do here in our garden is plot rotation. So we have 6 main plots here behind me and we rotate those clockwise every year. So what that means is what we have growing there one year will not be the same thing growing the second year. And what that does, it helps us maintain the minerals and the nutrition in our soil, as each plant will deplete the soils of different things, but it also helps with insect control. So if I've got onion fly in my onions one year, I don't put onions in the same place, as they will still be in the soil and will surely attack my next year's crop. So if I move that crop to the next plot, I can cut that insect's life cycle off right there and hopefully can manage it in that way. You might not have as big of a garden as we have here at the Shaker Village, but you can still do this on a smaller scale. If you break down your garden into smaller plots or quadrants, just to move those plants around, keep good records of what you've grown there the following year, will surely help your garden as well. I'm here in this year's potato plot, where we've also planted things like marigolds and nasturtiums. This companion planting is something we do for almost all of our plots. By integrating things such as flowers and other plants, we can keep some of the pests away, the chewing bugs that might attack our plants, but some of these flowers will also attract parasitic insects that'll get rid of some of these bad guys. They can also do things such as increase yield and improve flavor. You can do this in your garden as well, but please make sure you do your research, as some of these plants can actually be harmful to your main crop. As you can see behind me here, this plot has a lot of variation in it. We maintain a polyculture here where we have lots of different plants interplanted together. What I mean by that, we might have 2 rows of kale, followed by 2 of mustard, 2 of cabbage, and then 2 of peas, and that's very beneficial for me as a gardener. If I get an insect in here that loves my kale, well, hopefully he doesn't find my other 2 rows of kale down here at the end. So this polyculture gives diversity to your garden. So remember, diversity is resiliency. That makes you more resilient. So even if you do get some insect pressures in here, hopefully you still have a yield coming out of your garden at the end of the year. So mix it up a little bit. You can do this on smaller spaces. People make the mistake of planting large swaths, which is a monoculture, of the same type of plant in one space. Instead, in your garden bed, maybe you put your tomatoes on the corners or stagger your rows of your different crops. You can do this in your garden, and again, will be a benefit to you as a gardener. As a certified organic farm, we use mechanical advantages instead of spraying some of those synthetic herbicides to manage our weed pressures. Behind me here you see our silage tarp. We use this for solarization, occultation, simply put, tarping. So we use this on our plots. We'll lay this down a few weeks before planting, and what happens is the weed seeds underneath the tarp will germinate, hit the tarp, and die back. When we pull this back in a few weeks, we have a nice clean garden bed to start with. Now you can do this on your own at home as well. You can use a tarp, a trash bag, weighted down with rocks. If you've ever left a baby pool in your yard a little bit too long, you know exactly what this process is. Now behind me here, our silage tarp is not actually on a plot right now. Those are all planted out for the year. It's actually covering our compost. And compost, as you well know, is a very important part to your garden. It helps to feed your garden. And here at the village, we maintain a closed loop energy system that we're very proud of, as we collect scraps out of our kitchen every day. Those go into our compost pit where our chickens help to stir and aerate the soil for us there. That will then come over here to cure for a season underneath the silage tarp so that weeds don't grow in it. And that will eventually go out onto our garden to feed it. And then those vegetables go back into the restaurant and that cycle continues. You can do the same thing at your own home by feeding your garden with your own kitchen scraps with a compost tumbler or just a compost pile, and again, maintain your own closed loop energy system. Our plots here at the village are built based on a raised bed system. So we have raised beds and aisleways in between. And very importantly, we never walk in our beds, only in the aisleways, and that's to keep from compacting the soil in our beds. Now, if you look here, each one of these aisleways is built into an upside down arch, or what we call a swale. And that's very important as it maintains moisture. So when it rains, instead of that rainwater running off, it's kept there in those swales. Now, later in the season, we're going to come back. We're going to top dress these aisleways or swales with mulch and straw, and that will help maintain that moisture within those beds. It will also keep our weed pressures down, and that's another type of organic material that will break down, mineralize, and feed this garden. Now, you don't need a ton of space to do this. You can do this in your own garden as well, putting these swales in around your rows. And that's going to make your life easier, as you're not going to have to water as much. It's going to keep that water bill down a little bit too. So we've covered a lot of tips and tricks today here in our garden. You don't have to try them all, but hopefully you've learned a thing or two that will help you and your own home garden. Keep in mind, having a green thumb doesn't mean we're successful every year. It's all about the learning process. And if you have any more questions, please come see us here at the Shaker Village. We'd love to have you.